Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Joy Pad Podcast. I'm your erstwhile host, Mr. Michael Pinto. There are two mics on the podcast this week, because I'm back, baby! Unfortunately, Megan's not here because she was traveling for work and she's jet-lagged and grumpy. I don't actually know if she's grumpy. She's probably just jet-lagged, and it happens. I, of course, am joined by Tom and Mr. Michael Fleming. I'll talk about what I'm drinking because it's almost gone already. I'm drinking some coffee because, as we're recording this, it's the first day of fall in America. It's the 22nd, and the temperature dropped probably like 15 to 20 degrees from yesterday to today. So I'm drinking coffee because it's hot and it's delicious. It's French roast.
Ooh.
Je parle français. I am also drinking water because I got that coffee mouth and I got to get rid of that coffee mouth. And I won't talk about what I'm playing yet. I just heard Tom say something, so Tom, it's your turn. Haha, Tom.
Hey.
What are you drinking? What are you playing? How you doing?
I'm just drinking water tonight. Had a long day, and nothing soothes a long day like a tall glass of H2Is and an O.
Sky
Two
juice.
I's are for the 2 and the H2O. I've been playing, we played the Forest last night, which was fun. Enjoyed that. You guys have been playing more Forest than me, but I enjoy the Forest. I played a little bit more of Shadow of Forbidden Gods, kind of tabled it for a little bit. I started playing Europa Universalis 4, and I figured out how it works. And
this means Fleming has to start playing Crusader Kings.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah, it's probably true.
Honestly, I like Crusader Kings better, at least at this point. The difference is Europa Universalis is very much like you play as a nation, generally a big nation, and you do a lot of things at large scale. And it's, I don't know, like there's still a lot of like the espionage and diplomacy and stuff like that. But in Crusader Kings, it's more of like an actual character and working like with or against other characters and doing things that grows or shrinks your nation and stuff like that. So there's a little bit more like character flavor to Crusader Kings, in my opinion. Although I don't think Europa Universalis is bad. I just think like I'm still learning it, and it gets really long without anything happening to some degree when I play it. Although I did play as Castilian Spain and get involved in the 100 Years' War on France's side and punt England off the continent. So that was interesting. And just other little things like that. But it just always feels like in Crusader Kings, it feels like there's a lot of opportunity to expand into other little territories and form crazy new nations and stuff. And the stage is a lot more set in Europa Universalis 4. So just my take on the differences. But the better game that I've been playing is Turbo Golf Racing, or as Jesus calls it, Rocket League, but with golf instead of soccer. So I highly recommend. It's in early access. It's like $18 or something like that.
So it's golf, but with cars?
Yeah, it's car golf. If you play it, you'll be like, oh, this is Rocket League, but golf. It's beautiful and perfect and nothing hurts. It's also really like, it's still competitive, but without feeling like head-to-head competitive. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it. Like you're not getting punched in the face. You're just getting beat in a race if you get beat. You know what I mean? So I enjoy that. I do still feel my blood pressure rise because you definitely race and you definitely hit obstacles and you definitely get screwed up by the courses and stuff. And you're like, no, why? Please, no. But yeah, it's another thing that I aped off of Game Grumps, but we have a pretty good track record for that. So I'm trying to think if there's been anything else. I think that's basically it. But yeah, I'm probably going to play more of that later. Fleming, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you're doing, what you're drinking, and what you've been playing?
I've had a long week already, and it's only Thump Day, so hopefully I get through tomorrow. The weather looks really good for this weekend, except I think Sunday. Sunday has some rain, but looking like a good weekend, so I'm excited for that. I am drinking an unsponsored Coca-Cola tonight, so now they owe me 3 cents for making that advertisement. Drink it. It keeps you awake when you're a sleepy boy. In terms of games, so like you mentioned, we were playing The Forest. We've been playing that a lot. Pinto and I, at least, we have been working on the zipline interstate, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. We've got a lot of zip lines, and we can get across the map very quickly, and it's fun. We've got multiple bases. I'm sure we'll probably talk about it at some point, depending on the topic for tonight. But it's been good. We're still working on that. We still have to go back and do the actual story when we decide to care about Timmy. For now, we do not care. And outside of that, funny enough, I've been playing Europa Universalis 4 too, because that's an easy game to play when you're watching the NFL. So I've been playing that. I agree with you, Tom, in that in the little I played of Crusader Kings, it is much more about the people, like your lineage, and like, you know, building a dynasty of your kings. The leaders, you know, in Europa Universalis 4, it almost doesn't matter. You know, they give you specific skills, and like you can have royal marriages where you ultimately like get into a personal union where you're now controlling another country, kind of like a vassal, almost. And then you can claim the throne and have like ascension wars with other nations, but like it's not nearly like it is in Crusader Kings from what I've watched on YouTube or you've talked about or I've played. You know, Europa Universalis is really, I would say, about building an empire versus building a story of you know, a dynasty or a monarchy or something. So yeah.
Oh, I build me some empires in Crusader Kings.
Well, you still can. You still can, but what I'm saying is like Europa Universalis 4, it is an older game too, so you got to keep that in mind. But it's I just don't feel like the leaders matter really at all.
No, they don't. Definitely.
You know, I think in fact the only leader I remember specifically is when I was playing as Russia, and I got a guy named Seaman, and I sent it to you guys, and it was funny. His name was Semen, Seaman. There's actually, I forget what in like Russia it's supposed to like actually be. I think it's like supposed to be closer.
Got him.
You did get me. No, I think it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be something closer to like a Sean or something, I think, over there. Something like that. If you can look it up, I know it actually is like a legitimate name in the Russian culture. But yeah, so anyway, that's the only person I can remember because he had a funny name to us Americans.
I think we just figured out what's wrong with Vladimir Putin. Too much semen in his country.
We probably did.
Man, it's good to think his first name was Vladimir. What if it was Seaman Putin? Oof.
They semen Putin. They hate
it. Yes, but no, I do agree with you, Tom, in that respect. It is just a fun game. I like those kind of games where like it almost doesn't matter and you can play it as fast or as slow as you want. It does get a little bit long though. You know, one game could be hours of gameplay because you're most likely, if you're going to play for the full 400 or so years you're allowed to, versus like the one of the campaigns they have is the American Revolution, which is really cool and I love to do it. But you start in 1776, obviously, or about, I think you start in 76, and then you know you play for the next 5 years, and then it's like, okay, the revolution's over, now everything is basically done because Napoleon takes over France and the game ends. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Okay. So yeah, I like the game, but it definitely needs an upgrade. I think EU5 is supposed to be coming at some point.
I'm sure it is. EU2 or EU4 is from 2012. Which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, I remember.
Victoria 3 is coming in October.
That might be what I'm thinking.
I'm actually very excited about that. I've never played a Victoria game either, but I assume being like the newest in their line, it'll have a lot of the same upgrades that like Crusader Kings has had, and it'll just be a different era.
Yeah. So I'm interested in, maybe Paradox games are weird for me. Like, I like them, but
would you say they're a paradox?
They are a paradox. I like them, but it's just when you're done laughing, including the listeners, of course. So no, it's more just like I like the concept, and I do generally like the gameplay, but that is one of the worst like nickel and dime you companies to like include updates and patches and stuff. It's like, oh, we're not going to give you any piece of all the cool stuff we just added unless you pay $20. Or now they're doing subscriptions for their games, like pay $20 a month and you get all the DLCs for EU4. It's like, no, why would I have a specific, very expensive
to be fair
subscription?
It's only $5 a month, but I still think that's a lot. But
For
if you buy
game?
if you buy all of the expansions, there's $422 of expansions for Europa Universalis.
There is,
which is insane.
It's because they, like I said, they charge you for, like, they may add, like, let's say a diplomacy DLC or something where it's very heavily focused on like making your spies like be able to do tons of different stuff. Really cool. Why don't they offer that in the base model game? Like, you should be able to do more than just like support rebellions and fabricate claims and sow discontent. That's like the three things you can do in the base game. If you have the spies DLC or whatever, you can do tons of stuff. You can assassinate advisors and assassinate leaders, do things with like I can't even think what I'm trying to come up with. Like, you can like try to like inject like different people into their monarchy and like
infiltrate.
Well, not like just infiltrate, but you can actually say like this child is the son of the king actually and stuff. Like, you can try to like you can try to like break the family lines. I'm pretty sure like there's lots of cool things there that you can do to like try to change history in different ways, but they only offer those if you do some of those other ones. So like the base model's always been good enough, or base game rather, has always been good enough for me. So maybe it's it's just, I don't know. I don't like Paradox's version of how to do it, but I understand it, but at the same time, just like, no. Anyway, the only other game I've been playing aside from Forest and EU4 is I'm still playing through, well, not playing through, but I'm still playing Spider-Man remastered once in a while on PC, which came out a few months ago, because I wanted to make sure I played like all the content in it. And like, I was looking for a game to 100% this year, and I got so close just playing the story and doing the missions that like I'm at 92% of the whole game completed. I've done literally everything but just like the basic crimes that can occur around the city. So it's been a lot of work, but I've basically beaten the whole game, and I'm almost to that 100%, so I can actually say I've done it before. I would say those like really basic crimes are not worth it. They're just a waste of time and annoying, but I didn't mind the research desks, which I hadn't done in the game, that you could do those kind of extra puzzles. Well, not the puzzles. The puzzles I think are stupid, but the actual like research pods or whatever they're called, Tom, you know what I'm talking about? They were like Harry like instructs you to like go and monitor his research pods, and they give you like side missions, and they're decent enough side missions. So, and they had like their own dialogue. It wasn't like just haphazardly thrown in. So I appreciated it. And like I said, I'm at like 93% of the game complete. I've done everything but the basic stuff. So
did you do all the training missions? Because those are the ones I found annoying, where it's like assassinate all these people without getting caught, or like
the Taskmaster one.
Distance. Yeah, I think that's it.
I did all the Taskmaster ones. Yeah, they were annoying. And I did all the main storyline, and I did like all the extra like side things, like defeat this outpost or whatever. I did all that too, and then I just did the research pods, and they were like maybe 5 minutes each, so they didn't take long. It was like an hour or two to get all of them done, because I hadn't done any of them yet. I did all like the side missions that they have too, like capturing pigeons and stupid stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's like I did everything at this point except for just the basic crimes, which you just swing around until you get enough of them done that you've like cleared an area of crime. So it's the last thing to do if I want to do it. But like I'm so close to 100% completed the game that I'm like, yeah, I want to get it done. But the other reason I bring this up, and this is just a quick little comment, and I think we've had this comment before, I cannot understand for the life of me how an update that's just like fixes minor little bugs is like 14 gigabytes. They did an update just the other day, and it was like 14 gigabytes or something ridiculous. Maybe at least 5, but I think it was something like 8 to 14 gigabytes worth of patching and fixing bugs, but no extra content, and it's that big. And I was blown away by that. Not a big deal. I have the space, but I was just like very surprised at how big it was.
That's crazy. I mean, you got to assume it impacted like the entire code or something then.
I think developers are getting sloppy and are just like, people have the storage space. And like I said,
Yeah.
I do. Just a little minor complaint that I had to share today because it was frustrating. I'm pulling it up here if I can see it in my old downloads or something. But yeah, I know it was fairly large for not any content, and it just really surprised me how big it was. I don't know how to see this. Oh well, it was something that annoyed people and me included. So, oh, here it is. Excuse me, I found it. I have to share now. They called it a small update, and one of the comments says, I'm just going to go off this person's comment.
Hey, it wasn't 40 gigabytes.
Okay, now I can't. I guess his comment's deleted or not a top comment or something anymore. But like I said, it was somewhere around like that 10-ish gigabyte, a little over, a little under. And it was just very frustrating that it was that big. So that's my spiel tonight. I just want to complain about large updates. But it's not Tom. Excuse me, Pinto. What are you doing? Playing? What's our topic so we can get off the topic of large updates?
Actually, I wanted to talk about large updates really quick. Just really quick.
Do it.
You know what game had really large updates? War
GTA.
Thunder.
Oh, War Thunder did.
War Thunder had impossible to play large updates. Like you would try to play one night and then you would be there and you'd go, nope.
Yeah, here's a 4.5 gig update so we can add an extra ship into the map.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, I don't mind large updates if they're adding content, but if you're just like fixing bugs, I would expect it to be in the like hundreds of megabytes. Yeah, hundreds of megabytes to maybe like 2 gig range, depending on how many bugs you fixed or like
2 gig,
whatever you did. Yeah, but like just like calling it a small update, but then it's 10 gigs. It's like, guys, no, that's not how it works.
It's been quite some time since we've played War Thunder anyway, so that's one of those games where we play it and then it's fun until it gets too competitive, and then we stop.
You're right.
Time.
It's been probably a year and a half since I played War Thunder, something like that.
I think about it once in a while, but that's not what I've been playing. I have been playing, as we've discussed, The Forest. I am almost done with Chrono Cross. I think I have like 2 more endings to do, and I could finish that like tonight if I want to, because they're all very early on in New Game Plus. And they added the fun stuff where it's like, you don't have to fight any battles, and there's a fast forward button, so I can get those endings done super quick. And then I'm going to move on to something else. I don't know what yet. I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart recently, too. Mario Kart 8. Just because it's an easy game to pick up and play on the Switch, like, before I'm getting ready to go to bed or whatever. Who are you guys' go-to characters in Mario Kart? Just as a quick crowdsource question.
You said Mario Kart 8 for Switch, right?
Yep.
For me, my standard is Toad on a motorbike. In terms of like what parachute or whatever, I just choose one. They don't seem to make a difference.
I don't really care about the vehicle. I was just characters. I'm usually either Luigi or Rosalina.
Okay.
I'll do just about anybody. I used to do Wario back in the day, just for fun. But Yoshi's always a good time.
Dude, I played Donkey Kong the other night and it felt bad. Because you know
So
how
slow.
there's that, but you know, like when you jump and they do tricks and stuff, Donkey Kong dabs.
Oh no.
And I'm like, guys,
Donkey Kong's so 2000 and late.
yeah, he dabs and he like flexes. And I'm like, I'm not happy with you, Donkey Kong. I forgot he was in the game, to be honest with you.
Right?
So
Yeah. Do you guys speaking of Donkey Kong, do you guys remember Diddy Kong Racing?
that game
Sure
was
do.
awesome.
That was an awesome game, and I wish they came out with another.
That was a very good game.
It was.
So yeah, still playing Mario Kart 8. Still playing a little Stardew Valley here and there. And I started Life is Strange. I did not get very far into it. I played maybe like an hour. I told Megan that I started, and her first question was, "Is Max annoying?" And I was like, "I mean, kind of. She's just a hipster chick, you know.
She doesn't bother me that much.
She makes fun of the cool kids because she yearns to be a cool kid, and I think we've all been there."
That is true.
So I'm looking forward to playing that more. I am actually recording it for the YouTube channel, but I wanted
The
to finish.
Chanel.
Yeah, I actually want to finish Chrono Cross before I get to that. And so like I said, I'm almost done with Chrono Cross, and I kind of don't know what I want to play next. So I'm going to crowdsource you guys. I was thinking of doing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, because I love that game. I was thinking of doing Legend of Legaia 2, because most people don't know there was a sequel to Legend of Legaia. And,
I do know, but I never played it.
To be honest with you, I mean, of all the games there are, it certainly is one.
That's always good feedback.
Like, I like it. I remember liking it a lot as a kid. And when I say kid, I was probably like...
as an adult.
I was probably like 15, 16. So it was on the PlayStation 2, and I'm worried that if I go back to it, I'll be like, wow, this game kind of sucks.
Did not age well.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you looking specifically for
RPGs.
RPG? Okay.
Yeah.
The Legaia art system is fun though. I remember that being a really cool thing.
The other problem because I might do Legend of Legaia 1. I did it once, but that screenshot Let's Play no longer exists. The largest problem I found with the art system is, my God, it takes forever. Like, especially towards the end of the game of Legend of Legaia, a random battle could take you like 10 minutes. Because the enemies were so strong. And then you have to sit through all the animations of the art system, which is a 9-input system at that point if you're a high enough level. You got to sit through all the animations of them yelling their move names and doing all their flippy dippies, and it gets long.
I remember that, but that was a fun game.
You know what's another option?
Legend of Dragoon?
Yes.
Is that really what you were going to say?
Yes.
Hell yeah. I was thinking that too. There's so many like good RPGs from the Super Nintendo and PlayStation era.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yes, I agree.
There's so many.
I think you should play Final Fantasy 1, like the original one.
I mean, I could bang that out pretty quick. It's a short game.
It is a short game. That's why I said it.
Yeah, it's there's not much story to it, like, really, so I could kind of take it in a lot of different directions if I wanted to.
Well, you also can create your own characters, which is kind of cool. So.
Have the Black Knight become a death-wielding super monster, and the fighter makes sword chucks, and you're good to go.
That's right.
Pretty much,
Level 9 spell is a Hadouken.
There you go.
Thanks, Brian Clevenger.
What else, though? I don't know.
You play a Tales game.
I have not played a single Tales game. I have never played a Tales game.
I had Tales of Destiny, I think, on a PlayStation. Tales of Destiny. My friend had Tales of Destiny. I had Tales of Destiny 2. Wild Arms would be a good one as well.
I never played the original. I played Wild Arms 2 and 4.
You should play the original, but if you do it, you should play the emulator of Alter Code F.
That was the remake, remaster, whatever you want to call
PlayStation 2 remake, remaster. which I have a copy of because I got it at like a trade show or something for more than anyone should probably realistically pay for it. But it's a cool game. I love Wild Arms. And the Wild Arms I loved and grew up on was the first one, the original on PlayStation. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah. There's so much out there.
And that's a new experience for you, so I would suggest that one.
And I was thinking of like all the Breath of Fire games. I love those games.
But you've done them a lot, I feel like.
Three. Three I've done a lot. But
Suikoden is out there too.
They're remaking those. They're remastering 1 and 2.
Very nice.
I
forget if I've always heard the best one is either 2 or 3, and I don't remember which one it is.
1 and 2 were like Super Nintendo, I believe.
And 3 was like the PlayStation one, right?
I think so.
So I think 3 is
or maybe
the one
even
I'm thinking
PlayStation 2. I feel like there was like a big gap in between.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't know what you should do.
You can play Bahamut Lagoon.
Yeah.
Or Live a Live.
Yeah, those are out there now too. Damn.
Bahamut Lagoon
Legend of
weird,
Mana.
Man.
Ah.
You ever play that one?
Which one?
Bahamut Lagoon?
No.
It's like it's very Final Fantasy VI-ish, which is awesome. But it has like Pokemon elements because everybody has a dragon and you feed them different things and they evolve into different dragons.
Interesting.
And it has tactical combat. So once you get into combat, it's kind of Final Fantasy Tactics-ish.
Oh, it's a fan of tactical combat.
It's very cool. Fire Emblem's also out there too.
I have never played a Fire Emblem game either.
You should because they're great.
I had a big gap in my Nintendo history because like I never had a handheld system. Like I had a Game Boy Color and that was it. And then for like home consoles, I had a Super Nintendo. And then I bought a GameCube solely so I could get Resident Evil 4, which was dumb because Resident Evil 4 has come out on basically every console. Not that I would have known that at the time. I got a Nintendo 64 after I got a GameCube, so I don't have a lot of games for that. And then I have a Switch, so I never had a Wii, I never had a Wii U. No one had a Wii U, though.
I thought you had a Wii. I remember playing Wii at your house.
My sister had a Wii. It was hers, so...
Well...
Yeah,
that's a household system.
I guess. But yeah, like so Fire Emblem kind of slipped through the cracks because it was Nintendo.
The Fire Emblem for Wii is a very good Fire Emblem.
Isn't that the one that's really hard to find?
Not if you're playing it on an emulator.
Shh, that's illegal. We don't do that.
I never.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if one were to do such a thing.
If someone were to do such a thing. That's right.
I own a copy of it also, so
yeah.
There's that.
Oh, you know what I found out? I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I like the Mega Man Legends series. And Mega Man Legends 1, you could probably find it on my YouTube channel from like 10 or so years ago. Long time ago. But semi-recently, I went back and tried to play The Misadventures of Tronbon, which was like a sequel to Mega Man Legends, but also a prequel. Did you know there's copy protection on that?
No.
So when you try to record that game, when you get to a certain point, it just freezes. And I looked it up. I was like, that's weird. Maybe it's because I was emulating it, but I own a copy of the game, so I busted out the disc. And I was like, I'll use the disc on an emulator system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tried that. Same thing. When you get to a certain point, the game just stops.
Interesting.
And I found that very, very strange for a PlayStation 1 game.
I know that you can look up, I think if you look up YouTube videos, you'll find stuff about this, but Spyro.
Yeah, there are certain games that had that sort of protection.
It had, it didn't have like, it had like some kind of, like if you copy the game and like try to reburn it, it would work. And then like it would start to act weird as you went. Like, so the first maybe, let's say hour of gameplay was fine. And then like all of a sudden weird things would start to happen. Or like, you know, you try to win the game and the game
someone has to have made a creepypasta out of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am sure. It's
Yeah,
like those
if you-
Sonic games.
Yeah.
If you look up, there's a guy on YouTube that like made a video about Spyro, and it's you know, copyright protections that they put into the game to protect the game, which is the weirdest thing. It's like it's Spyro.
Don't copy that floppy.
Yep. But they were like, do not copy this CD, or we're gonna make your game act weird. So yeah, you should look up that YouTube video. That was
Yeah,
really
there,
interesting.
there were
story.
a lot of games that had things like that where
Mhm.
if the game was pirated, it would either just turn itself off or it would be like, you pirated this game, you're not allowed to play it, and then you literally couldn't play it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I literally played on a burned copy of a friend's StarCraft all the way through college using his CD key.
I'm pretty sure my first copy of StarCraft was a burned copy too, to be honest.
Most people's first experience with StarCraft was a burned copy.
No,
I mean,
my-
even in Korea, it was incredibly popular, and they had like leagues and stuff going early on.
My first experience with StarCraft, and I know I've mentioned this, was actually StarCraft 64.
Ah, yes.
God, that was hard to play. Oh, it was so...
That game was
So
not
bad.
meant for a controller.
Not at
I have
all.
I have played StarCraft 64, and it is just brutally difficult.
Impossible.
Yeah.
I remember I got out like 2 vultures, and then I got eaten by zerglings, and I was like, well, that was fun, let's play Super Smash Brothers.
That was the time when people didn't know what RTSs really were because they were fairly new. Like, I mean, obviously there was some degree of knowledge, but they thought, you know, they could, like, they didn't understand that to play real time, you need to have a, I guess, functioning kind of input device. So they thought, oh, we could just probably put it on a
Need more
console.
flexibility.
Yeah. So they tried it. It didn't work. But it
That's
is
like-
incredibly rare now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed by this point into the podcast, there's no real topic. We're just kind of floating around. So I did want to jump back to the forest for just a second because I did want to mention that the other night when Fleming and I were playing, we encountered John, the worm.
Johnny!
Yeah, very interesting. First of all, it makes... When he moves, he makes the screen shake, which is very bad for someone like me because I got motion sick almost immediately. I was like, nope, nope, nope. I had to run away because I will barf. I will barf. Second, he's called the Worm. And John, of course.
Wormy John.
Yeah, Wormy John. Johnny Boy the Worm. He looks like a bunch... You know when you go to the deli and they've just got hot dogs sitting in a tray and they're all like linked together at the ends? He looks like that. He looks just like a bunch of floppy hot dogs just all linked together, rolling all over the place.
My God, my ultimate fantasy come true right here.
I have to agree with you. He also doesn't really look like a worm because he has multiple legs. He looks more to me like a scorpion of hot dogs. So, but
John
he
the
gets
Glizzy
like,
King.
yeah, he gets like multiple legs, and then he has like one leg he uses to like attack, and then like I think he can morph into like one tall one that slams down on the ground, but.
We didn't actually fight him. Number
No, we
one,
didn't
I
fight
ran
him.
away because I wanted to barf. But number two, he was like glitched into the water
Yeah.
when we were... So we just kind of ignored him and kept building, and then he eventually despawned.
Yep.
That's the tale of Lucky John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He once appeared and looked like wieners, then he left and despawned.
But
Lucky
we're
John.
as of last night when we were playing, I believe you said we had just reached day 100.
Yeah, I think we're on day 99 or day 100.
Oh,
something
poor
like that.
Timmy.
Yeah, it's been 3 months since our son, because we all have the same son since it's a multiplayer. He has been taken by the people of the island, basically, and we have not gone and saved him. And you're supposed to be able to beat the game, I think, in less than 100 days.
Can I just say I love when games get goofy like that? Like when you're playing an RPG and you have a main quest that's clearly like time sensitive.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, go get whoever you're after. And you're like, nah, man, I'm going to go make smoothies with the gorillas for like 3 weeks so that I can get banana pass so that I can go meet the baboons and get the orangutan pass and then hang with the orangutans.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a fishing license so I can fish for 95 days straight.
One of my my best memories of doing that as a kid was when Eris leaves your team, or Aerith leaves your team in Final Fantasy VII, and she goes to like pray at the whatever it's called, that lake kind of thing, you know, and she's like gone from your team, and it's like, we gotta go get her, and I just like left her for hours of
You're like,
gameplay.
I'm gonna go gamble on some giant birds
Yeah,
for
exactly,
a while.
you were already at Golden Saucer, so I did like all that stuff instead, and all different kinds of things, which just didn't make sense. And I think that's probably why also, you know, like if you look at like more story-driven games now, they don't really let you do that very much. They kind of keep you moving in the story.
But I love the idea that I'm just free to go do goofy shit and people are all right.
That's what I loved about Final Fantasy Tactics, because anytime you move from spot to spot, it was a day. Yeah. And if you just spent a bunch of time doing random shit, it would show your characters' ages, like in the menu if you looked at them. So when the story starts, Ramza's 16. I remember when I beat it, it was like, Ramza Beov, age 48. And I was like, oh my god!
What have you done?
It took me 36 years to beat this game.
Ramza died, an older fella. My word.
I wonder if it would max out at 99 if you just kept going.
It probably would have, if I had to guess.
And no one dies of age ever. I mean, you know that's the case.
And they all look exactly the same, youthful and without noses and wearing butt pants.
Yep.
Yes. Well, at least Ramza is. That was the best. So back in the day, I found like some sprites that you could hack the game with, like an emulator kind of situation that I don't use. But they had a sprite that you could replace Buttpants Ramza with, and he had like a cape and like knightly armor and shit, and looked like a badass.
Because no one wanted the butt pants.
No one ever wanted the butt pants. No one. And if you wanted the butt pants, you're wrong.
I also really love how Cloud was an Easter egg in that game, and he sucked. Like, no one ever said cameos were pretty, man. And even when you get him, it's very close to the end of the game. He starts at level 1, and you have to train him up all the way. And even when you train him up all the way, he's just not that good.
Mm-hmm.
When you got Thunder God Sid in the party, Cloud's nothing.
I did feel that like the Cloud line of that at least was just like a Easter egg conclusion to an already fun like storyline though, because you go that whole way to get like Beowulf and Reyes, and Beowulf and Reyes are freaking awesome.
Yeah, and Cloud sucks.
And Cloud sucks, and I don't care about him.
I feel like whenever I played Tactics, because you could like create your own character basically if you went to the guild, I always felt the need to like create myself, because like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm gonna rename the main character to me or whatever.
You're like, but I could just make me.
That's what I did.
Yeah, but as soon as you can make, like as soon as games started coming out with like creating your own extra character into it, I started like leaving all the normal story driven people alone and creating an extra character that was me. So like I was always like, okay, I'm gonna go recruit a guy, his name's gonna be Mike, and then we're gonna go and make him a chemist in the case of Tactics, so he can go down the magic line, and you know, then I would get him to be a sorcerer, because sorcery is awesome, and he would suck forever because sorcery took forever to be good. And
unless you use the scroll glitch trick.
Well, okay, but I was a little kid, so I didn't know any tricks or glitches.
That's right. That's fine.
I just always put him in every single battle, no matter what, and protected him, and you know, to the detriment of the other party members. So I can make Mike the sorcerer that could cast like everything and destroy everything.
Did I ever tell you guys about how I lost at Final Fantasy Tactics and very nearly hated the game for a long time?
Did you save on the 101?
Oh,
No.
I was going to ask, is it because you didn't know you could scroll to add other characters to the party, and you tried to fight the first story party, or the first party battle with just Delita and Ramza?
It sure is. That's exactly what it is.
Because, did you rent it from Blockbuster?
Sure did.
Hell, God, man, are you me? Because I remember I was like, this game's fucking impossible. How are you supposed to beat 6 people with just 2, and you can only control one of them?
I fought that first battle and they gave me like 5 dudes. What happened? Yeah. And then one day I hit a R1 by accident. And I was like, oh.
What? Huh? I never knew.
Oh yeah, they didn't make that very clear, did they?
No.
Like I forget how they even you even knew.
I didn't.
Because I remember
know.
like how the blocks were like listed right in the middle and you could like move people around, but then like if you had multiple areas you could deploy your forces, you had to press, like you said, R1 to move to the next section. But I don't know, I don't think there was even like a press R1 to next group or something.
I think there was a little bit of text next to like an
Yeah.
R1 that
And there
said,
was
like,
and there was like a
X or
triangle.
something
So
like
like
that. Yeah.
it would be like if you hit R1 and there was a triangle pointing right, and it was like, so what? Oh my god! I have 4 more characters I could use.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and you had to start with you started with the 2 by like automatically, and then you added on. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I rented Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy VII at the same time, and one of these games got played significantly more than the other due to technical difficulties with one. So that's the story of how Final Fantasy VII was the better game of the PlayStation era for quite a while.
I feel like Final Fantasy Tactics 2 was also one of the last games that would or could screw you over, in the fact that if you saved and you didn't have separate files and you went into like Riovane's castle where you do the one-on-one duel between Ramza and Waygrap and you weren't prepared, you just have to start the game over.
You'd have to.
There's nothing you can do.
Yep.
There was one other case in that game too that they did that.
The same thing, yeah.
It was a similar thing where you had, I think it was just a one-on-one or some kind of you could get stuck if your party wasn't, prepared to fight. And if you saved, you could not get out of it. But the first one, because people didn't realize, is where most people got stuck. And I remember as a little kid, I was like, okay, I got stuck. I'll go back and do it again. It's no problem. I'm ready for it this time. And I really thought I was ready, but me without a fully functioning brain just saved over the same.
Your frontal lobe wasn't fully developed yet. It's okay.
Yep. So I was like, okay, I think I'm ready, and I was still not ready, and I still had, I think I ultimately beat it, but it took many tries to almost get lucky to do so. Yeah, you had to get auto potion. I remember being something people said, like getting haste by default was really good.
Yeah.
I always used monk, so I had like that shock remove where you can restore your own HP. So
yeah,
I always leveled up to ninja so I could equip 2 swords.
Yeah.
Ninja's good too.
Yeah, it was stuff like that you had to do. I feel like games nowadays have learned do not piss off your people with something like that.
It's interesting though, because a lot of people say games have gotten easier, which I don't know. It all depends what you're playing. Look at like an Elden Ring or a Bloodborne. I beat 2 bosses in Bloodborne and I was like, I'm good, man. This is too much for me.
I mean, I'm not attempting to play any of those games for good reason. I was playing like Jedi Fallen Order on like normal and getting my butt kicked, and I was like, am I not a dude with a lightsaber? Why are stormtroopers killing me all the time? I'm not a fan. Why does it take me 15 swings of a glowbat to kill them when they're supposed to tear them in half in one swing?
Yeah, there have been several games I've played where like I'll start on hard difficulty and then I'm really glad that they give you the option in game to drop the difficulty. I'm like, just for this battle, man, because it sucks, and I'll drop it down to like normal and then I'll go back up to hard or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm not even thinking like that kind of difficulty. I'm thinking more like
King's Quest difficulty where
well yeah, so like where you're fighting to figure out a puzzle. I feel like those things don't exist as much anymore.
Oh, we can play some puzzle games, my dude. They piss me off.
I know we can, but I'm saying like the popular games have really went towards like a streamlined approach. Like there's difficulty in the game, don't get me wrong. You can play on like the extremely hard difficulty of something like Last of Us, where you have like 2 items the whole game,
and you die if someone breathes on you. Yeah,
exactly. Like that's a different type of difficulty than I'm thinking of, where it's like I didn't like games aren't as clunky anymore, so I didn't realize I could put 4 extra guys in this game, or I didn't, realize that this puzzle I was supposed to turn this because it wasn't very clear that I needed to like look underneath this bush and find the key in something like a King's Quest. Like you didn't know you could do that. I feel like games have tried to avoid those kind of difficulties.
You mean like manufactured difficulty versus like...
Yeah, I guess, yeah, manufactured or like clunkiness difficulty versus, of a developer's decisions versus the game's just hard because, you have one hit, or 1 HP the whole game or something. I have no profound thing when I'm saying this. I'm just more
I know what you
commenting
mean, but like the whole thing behind clunky difficulty is there should not be clunky difficulty.
Yeah, generally I would agree. I mean, it's something like StarCraft Brood War. The reason the game is so good is because of the clunky difficulty. But
yeah, and
that's a different thing. You're playing against each other, while dealing with a clunky engine versus you're playing a streamlined game and you're looking for this like one specific
that's
moment
like setting rules on a soccer match as opposed to like getting into an experience where like something should feel relatively natural to find or like it should make sense to do and it doesn't.
I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just more commenting on the fact that developers have tried to avoid making things like mentally difficult. They add difficulty just by making it like, oh, this thing can kill you in one hit now if you're on the harder difficulty.
There's probably 2 parts to that. One is people generally don't like getting beat all to hell when they're playing a game. They like to feel good about themselves and be like, it's fun. I'm gonna tell my friends so they can buy it and play it. And the other bit is companies used to make money off tip lines back in the day.
Oh,
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, and the strategy books and stuff too we've talked about.
Strategy guides, tip lines, with it like Nintendo Power guides or whatever they were called.
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't exist anymore because GameFAQs took it all over. So, if you're playing any game with any sort of puzzle and you don't know what to do, you can find an easy, quick, free solution online, as opposed to having to call a 1-800 number.
Yeah, I mean, I never was a fan of like King's Quest games because I always struggled to find, like I said, that key hiding in the sand.
They were all obtuse too. Like the puzzles were always really obtuse. It's like, oh, let me pick up this rotten tomato so I can throw it at the stick in the mud. And he gets into a fight with his brother, the bump on the log, so I can get a cup of swamp muck instead of swamp ooze. I'm not making any of this up. This is real.
You're
this
not.
really happened in King's Quest 6, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I just remember a lot.
How?
Yeah. They don't make games like that anymore, at least that I know of. Maybe there's like an indie Steam kind of game like that. But
I'm sure there is.
But they're not like the premier games anymore. The premier games are very like streamlined. You go from point A to point B. We'll guide you there. Even something like a JRPG, right? It sometimes wasn't clear what your next objective was because it was, not like it wasn't exactly like, oh, we need to go to this town necessarily. Some games were better than others, but I know there were a couple times, and maybe it was because I was younger.
No,
I played those.
Final Fantasy 1 was very bad about that.
Oh yeah, it told you like nothing.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 1 was just a bad game in reality. A lot of people look back with like rose-colored glasses, but that game was not good. Like, it's just that it, sparked a new, genre of Final Fantasy games and everything. So people look back at it for that more than anything.
Okay, we're getting low on time, but I have something that I want to ask you guys. And so, game design, right? When you play a game, any game where you level up, your character basically just becomes smarter, faster, harder, stronger, faster, better, whatever. Is there an example of a game that you can think of where, like, you start off, you're a sword fighter, you really suck, and, like, you're weak, your sword swings are slow and clumsy, and then as you level up, your character actually performs better instead of just the animations are the same and the numbers just get bigger? Like, is there a game you can think of where there's an actual physical representation of your character getting better at a skill that is shown in game instead of just you start moving faster and numbers get bigger?
You're not thinking like new moves. You're thinking like you actually attack faster.
You're just better at
Yeah.
the thing.
Because the only
Maybe
game I'm thinking of, like,
Skyrim.
yeah,
Really though?
yeah, you swing faster your sword if you get certain skills and stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. I
Yep.
feel like you just hit harder and there's nothing different.
There's certain like
There's
special
stuff that makes
abilities
you go faster.
that makes you go like
Yeah.
you can double attack with swords.
Oh, so you
can
get some
swing
tree
faster.
sap and you attach feathers to your sword and it swings faster.
Yes,
And then you
indeed.
put teeth on your axe and you hit harder.
This is not the forest, but I mean that's still not like in the forest. That's not exactly what you're looking for
No,
either. That's
but like
that's a
even in the
weapon
forest,
upgrade,
it's
though.
like your athleticism gets better. It just means you can run longer. It's not like
So-
suddenly you could do parkour.
Like I was asking because I know like in really old school like an old school Dragon Ball Z fighting game, you would play as like a character and the character would learn new abilities and the abilities would get stronger as you use them more. It's back from like early 90s.
Right.
My brother played that
That
one. I
actually,
forget what it was
that
called,
makes
but-
me think in Legend of Mana,
yeah.
you have moves where like if you perform them enough, say because you pick
Mhm,
like say
yeah.
push and backstep, then you would get a move that if you use them enough, it would combine those two, and you'd learn a move that you would like
Yes.
do a somersault off your enemy where you'd push them backwards and you'd
But-
also go backwards
Sock
in one
Frontier had a
move.
system like that too, where you could do techniques and they would combine sometimes with like what other people in your party would do, or you would learn something from seeing someone else do something.
Mhm.
So you get new techniques. That was a pretty cool system.
But that's not still, I think, what you're looking for. though,
No.
Pinto,
I'm just-
right? Because
yeah.
you're looking for,
I'm
you
just
know,
I'm looking for a game where there's like physical evidence of like improvement.
yeah, like if you were
It's-
playing a Star Wars game and you're a Jedi Knight, at first you just kind of like swing your sword like this, but then later you're able to do kind of like what people would think of as like, a true Jedi master, an expert with the sword kind of thing. would be
Yeah, a
able
lot
to
of it's
do.
like gaining powers.
Yeah.
Because even in like the Jedi Knight games, your lightsaber moves are about the same, but over time you would get different force powers.
yeah, but
Which
it's
is why
still
the best thing to do is just choke someone on the air, run up to him, then cut him in half.
Or
Yeah.
put them into Force Whirlwind and then run up and slice and dice.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But no, you bring up a good point that it's difficult for me. I have to like stretch your question to find an example where you can see progress in just how your character performs. I think in For Honor, I don't know if you guys ever played that. For Honor is like it's
Not
a medieval game where you play as a hero, and it's similar to like a Dynasty Warriors. It's been years that I played in the beta. I don't think I ever even bought the game, but you would play like as a character, and your character would get stronger from doing fight like events or whatever. You would level up, and your character would actually swing his sword faster, have more abilities. He would also get more damage and HP too, but like you would basically get a better character, and then you would join another server where people have higher levels, almost like a War Thunder would be in that regard. So that's kind of, I guess, maybe a game I can think of.
Dynasty Warriors is like that too, because
Yeah.
you do get speed, attack power, and attack speed, and might, endurance,
Yeah.
defense. All of that levels up as your character progresses, because you're pretty weak at the beginning, but you get more of that as time goes on. Another one I could think of, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Dude, I was actually thinking that too, where like you could get CJ to work out and you could see it. Like you'd see him get buffer and your punches and attacks would do more damage. That's actually yeah.
But you could
it's-
eat a bunch of
it's a little
cheeseburgers
better.
and be fat.
Oh, that's what I would do. But
Oh no, you go and you eat the salad meal so you don't gain any fat.
then you need protein if you're
Yeah, you need
working
protein.
out that much.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful.
That's true. You had to
Yeah.
actually have fat to turn into muscle in that game.
And you had to take martial arts lessons to learn new fighting moves if you were going to do hand to hand.
You know what game also kind of had that, Tom? The Bouncer. Just like a little bit. Not quite as much as I would hope for, but like you progress through the game and your character like gets stronger, and then you do learn more moves and shit. So,
They had
Sounds like we
caps on health and attack and stuff like that too. Like everyone had their own different stat progression system. It always like turned out the same way.
Yeah, well, Sion was like your all around character. Ko was like your monkey grappler, defensive man, and Volt was the big brick of HP.
Oh, never mind. Volt was the grappler. Ko was Kiki Boy.
Yeah, Volt was your mountain man with lots of HP.
That's right.
So it sounds like we figured out, Pinto, that you were wrong.
I mean, yeah,
not by much,
but not by much. But I totally get where you're coming from, and I agree with you though.
Like
I think a lot of like MMOs reflect that, where you start out like only okay at whatever it is you're trying to do, and then you become super lord badass over time. Yeah. Like when you start out as a black mage in like Final Fantasy 14, like you suck. You can maybe cast Fireball, and then like, by the time you're at level 60, you're throwing meteors and ice and fire and gigantic crazy spell combos all over the place.
Diablo, I was just thinking, is another example, and that actually to the specifics of you swing your sword faster. Like I think like barbarians, for example, will attack faster as they get better. You'll begin but just like kind of swinging your sword, and then you'll have two swords, so you're doubling your speed there, and then there's certain skills you could get.
They go with the D&D method where by the time you're like level 15, you can attack 6 times in one turn or whatever.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're basically God.
I think that's going towards your kind of idea of character progression.
I think I just kind of want some games where they kind of dive into that deeper. Because, like, you know, when I play Skyrim, I always default to being an archer, a sneaky archer. But I want it to be like, at first, I kind of suck at archery, which is true. You do kind of suck at archery. But I want to be fucking Hawkeye by the end of the game. I want to be, like, doing backflips and shooting I want to be Legolas.
Well, have I mentioned you would like Fire Emblem? Because all of the characters start with like kind of a base class, and then in the later ones there's 1, 2, or even 3 like class progressions and different tree paths and stuff, and they get faster, stronger, better, more endurance.
Are they all good? Or I mean, like, obviously some will be. I'm just actually wondering. Like, you start off and you're going to gravitate towards, like, I'm going to use these characters, or would you feel comfortable using all of them?
You're generally comfortable using all of them because they all complement each other because it's tactical, right? So they have different strengths and weaknesses. Like Pegasus Knights are weak against bows. Horsemen, there's like different things that are good against horses. Lances are good against swords. Swords are good against axes. Axes are good against lances. Like that's their whole thing.
Right.
But there's actually one character in just about every Fire Emblem game that is like the villager class. And it's like always some doofy guy with a pot on his head and a spear in his hands and a hope in his heart. And he sucks. Like sucks ass. At level 1, and you always get him late enough in the game that it's like you would never think about using this guy, but they always have the best stat progression in the game. So if you take the time and work with them and level them up in the battles, they become like the best character you could use.
So they're the Magikarp of Fire Emblem.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I think, Pinto, the reason you're bringing this up is because something like the forest, where you I think have been trying to use the bows as much as possible because it's the only way to get a one-hit kill on a enemy. But then you only can shoot at the same exact pace, no matter if it's been day 1 or day 100. In terms of our archery, and it's really, I agree with you if that's what you're thinking. It's really frustrating.
It's like, God, I should be a lot better at archery by now. I've been shooting this bow and arrow for 100 days.
Yep, and like, if you start to fight and you get kind of attacked by I was going to use that, but I tried to be better. But yes, gangbanged. You will struggle to take them all down, and like it's harder to hit their heads, and like I don't know. But I get your point where it's frustrating that you can't progress your character more. But who knows? Maybe Sons of the Forest will have something where you can kind of train your abilities a little bit more.
Oh my god, if we could each have specializations in Sons of the Forest, I'd be the cook. You know it. Specialized in short blades. It's Project Zomboid all over again.
Yep, which we never went back to.
My four dads. I did not care much for Project Zomboid. I know you did. I did not.
You know what broke my spirit in that game? You know what it was? When I tried to carry the weight bench from the mall back to our hideout, and then it turns out we couldn't even use it. Oh, yeah, I was like, yo, I'm going to get yoked. I'm going to get so fucking swole. I'm going to be Salt Bay Jack Chef. And then I couldn't. Nothing.
Yep. Just sat there in our house.
No, I left it in the streets, remember? I just dumped it in the streets because it was on my backpack.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyways, that's all we have time for today. Make sure to please check out all of our social medias. If you go to joypadpod.com, you can find all that stuff. We're joypadpod everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know how active we are on any of those social platforms because I just run the Facebook.
Bosh boosh.
Check out the YouTube. There's some stuff on there. We played a game called How Fish is Made. We played a game called Stories Untold, which we still need to finish. And
it's untold.
It's half told. It's 50% told.
Yes.
We need to finish that, and then I have a bunch of other games I want to play. I downloaded a whole bunch of indie horror games because I like making Tom suffer.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Screenshot Let's Plays are still going. That's also on the joypadpod.com. You can find that stuff there. Read Chrono Trigger. It's a good game. Read Chrono Cross. It's a good game. Read Super Mario RPG. It's a good game. Read Coffee Talk. It's a good game. Oh, that's all that's up there for now. Anything else, guys?
It's a good game.
It's a good game. You know what's a good game? Final Fantasy Tactics is a good game.
It is good.
Go play Final Fantasy Tactics. Buy it on your phone.
Yay!
Yeah.
There's a couple games that we always return to talking about, and it's because they're good games.
They're good games.
Good game. It's a good game. All right. I'm done. Please, if you have anything else to add, Fleming. Nope. Nope. Okay.
I'm done.
Done.
I'm done.
End it, Tom.
Shall I end the suffering? All right. It's a good game. I was going to say something else, but I can't remember. I worked a lot today. Stay joyful. Bye.
Bye.